Welcome back to Local Decision, and thank you for joining us. I'm Rusty Ray. We're joined today by Lino Lakes City Council member Tony Cavegn, running for re-election. Tony, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me, Rusty.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thanks.
A couple of years ago, you won a seat on to council in a special election.
Correct.
And so since then, nothing really has happened. It's been pretty uneventful, right?
Quiet couple of years, right?
Yeah. A lot of Zoom meetings.
A lot of Zoom meetings. Finally getting back to some in-person meetings, which is nice. But yeah, as you said, there's been a few things that have taken place in the last couple of years.
Well, what have you learned? Like, what really stands out? Like, what have you picked up in that time from being on council?
What I've learned is how much I didn't know about being on council, quite honestly. There's a lot more to it than I thought. Certainly, there's still a learning curve. I'm not fully up to speed, but getting there, learning a lot in the process. And I think I've really, at least have a good understanding where I can continue to contribute, and I think moving forward, I can do that in an even more meaningful way.
Just kind of the ins and outs and what's expected and the timelines for different things and all the information you need to kind of absorb in order to then have a discussion.
Right, exactly. And you know, some of this kind of just general rules. How does the city work? What are our guiding rules, I guess, that allow us to make decisions, or what can we make decisions on versus what we can't? You know, what's guided by rules that are kind of outside of our control. So still learning some of that. But yeah, that's been the biggest learning curve so far.
From what you can tell, what was the biggest impact of COVID? Certainly the city council had to make some decisions, you know, timely decisions based on physical things here and there, but also you received chunks of money and had to make decisions based on that. And that's a good thing that you can spend them on what, you know, there were improvements to City Hall and stuff like that. But
correct.
Are there larger impacts that COVID has had on the way the city has done or will continue to do business?
You know, at one of our recent meetings, we discussed the continuation of work from home. And I think that's something that we are going to continue with. I think that gives our employees a nice option. Certainly opens up things for those who have family responsibilities. Not everyone's children are back to school yet, so there are people still have childcare issues. That I believe is something that not only for the city, but kind of for all of us in our work lives. I think that's going to become more of a norm, at least to have an option. Probably not for everyone. Some people have to be there. But I think for a lot of people that option is very realistic. They can still do their jobs, and I think they've proven that.
If not for COVID, are there things that you would have, at the beginning or when you were running, both times you ran, that you wanted to see the city focus on that COVID put to the back burner that maybe, should you win in this next term, you'd be able to kind of maybe see about the city addressing?
You know, as far as most of the city business, you know, I think it was business as usual. As you said, we had to meet via Zoom and things like that. I guess some things that I did want to accomplish, or one thing I wanted to accomplish during my first term that I hope to maybe make some more progress on if I am reelected, is start reconnecting with our neighboring cities, attending some of their meetings, trying collaboration again. There's a lot of things that we can do that if we work together would save both of our cities money. They could be cost effective as well as make things simpler in the long run. So I think to have the ability to actually go out and talk to people again, meet people, a lot of those types of discussions aren't probably the best over a Zoom meeting. It's kind of hard to do. So I really hope to actually start reaching out again and making those connections and try and build that relationship back up again.
Yeah, geographically, Lino Lake's very close to those other communities where we are here in Blaine, of course, Circle Pines, of course, Centerville.
Lexington,
Lexington,
Hugo.
right, and cross-county lines and things like that. There are a chance for maybe some partnerships, like you say. Some of those cities already work together with public safety models and things like that, but that doesn't mean that Lino can't be a part of another initiative here or there.
Right. Public safety is a big one. You know, obviously we had a collaborative previously. It's been discussed again recently as the Centennial Fire District was looking at some help with daytime duty crews. Lino Lakes has struggled in that area as well, staffing those the way that we'd like to at least. I think that's an area that we could still work together. You know, we have this water treatment center that's coming up.
Yes.
And I know Lino Lakes is the only city that's tested positive for the manganese, but that's because the other cities hadn't been tested yet. Whether they have it or not, I can't confirm, but you know, that's something I think we could work on together as well. Maybe the other cities would like to be part of that. Does that work? I don't know, but I'd like to have those discussions. We have a community center that
Right.
we're looking at reopening.
Right.
That would be great if it was a bigger community, not just Lino Lakes. You know, if we can somehow incorporate the other cities to help with, you know, kind of maintaining and getting all the cities kind of a central location to meet. Their residents, their businesses. You know, we're looking at having meeting rooms there. So that would be another area that I think, you know, if we could collaborate with our surrounding cities, I think it'd be a huge opportunity for everybody.
Let's come back to that in just a minute.
Sure.
You did touch on the water treatment, and I'm glad you brought that up. You're right, Lino was subjected to some more stringent state testing that was kind of random or optional
Right.
or whatever, and it happened.
Right.
Found the raised levels of manganese. But you're right, these communities here, a lot of them tap from the same aquifer, so that it begs to reason, perhaps, that there could be similar concerns.
Absolutely.
So is there a possibility, or is there a model that you're aware of anywhere else where there is a regional water treatment that may serve several of these smaller communities?
Not that I'm aware of. And as I said, I'm not sure if it's even feasible, if it can be done. But I think at least having those conversations, you know, a community like Centerville is completely within the city limits of Lino Lakes. It certainly makes sense if we could somehow collaborate with them. If other cities would like to get in, again, the conversation can be had. I don't know if it can happen, but a conversation is a great place to start with it.
There are a lot of challenges in that. The residents may have concerns about, is it going to cost them more, or what is it going to improve their water source, their drinking water, what it does to their appliances. These are all things people brought up at the public meeting that seems so long ago now.
Right.
But so there is a lot that has to be tackled there as a city council, I would imagine.
There is, absolutely, and we're really still in the very introductory stages of this. You know, getting some preliminary costs of what it would even cost. What do we actually need to treat? Do we have to worry about, or what else are we going to have to treat in the future? You know, is manganese the biggest issue? Do we have other issues? You know, I think we all know we have a period throughout the year where our water smells. Certainly would take that away. Is that going to improve our quality of life? Not necessarily, but I think some people would appreciate that. Is there a cost associated? Well, of course there is. Those types of facilities are not cheap. So yeah, there'd be a cost. If we could share that cost with additional communities, improve the water quality for multiple communities, and share those costs, again, it's something I think would be very beneficial to each community that could take place in that, if it can happen.
So it seems like the city is doing all of its diligence, working with outside groups and talking about the former YMCA building. It's not just like, okay, here it is, we're ready to go, it's going to be the Lino Lakes Fitness Center. It's not that simple.
It's not that simple.
And for good reason, it seems, because there has to be a business model, there has to be on all the forecasting that goes into that. Is that what you all are learning and kind of piecing yourselves through here, listening to I think the group from Michigan gave you some recommendations, and now a group in Minneapolis is going to do some help with trying to promote the ideas there. What has that been like? What have you learned from that? And is it appeasing the people in the community? Because there are people in the community who were members of that Y that don't want to drive to Forest Lake or don't want to drive to White Bear. They want their fitness center back because it's a beautiful place.
It is. It is. The response from the public has been overwhelmingly supportive. Reopen it. Don't know which form that's in. You know, some of them are in favor of the hybrid model that we've talked about, where the city is actually going to own the building, but we work in partnership with existing local businesses that already have expertise in areas like running a gym, running an aquatic center, running a fitness center. That's kind of the model that we're most interested in right now. So that's what the companies that we're working with right now, that's what they're doing, is they're kind of setting us up with individuals who have expressed interest in that type of partnership. So that's the direction that we're kind of leaning at the moment. Again, still looking for a lot of information, again, very early in the process, but we are hoping to get this thing up and running as quickly as possible. We also know there's a huge expense involved in that. So we're obviously looking at that as well. And is that going to be an ongoing expense? Is this self-sustaining? You know, those are questions that we have to have answered. So it's still going to be some time, but we want to make sure that if we decide to go, that we're ready to go. We have all of our ducks in a row, and that's the process that we're going through right now.
Do you hear from residents or voters and people like that in the city with concerns, questions? Are they emailing, calling, seeing you somewhere? Are they knowing? Do they reach out to you with any concerns, whether it's not just YMCA, but anything?
Yeah. Not a lot directly. I get a few emails on occasion to my city council email address. A lot of calls, questions come into staff, and we have a fantastic staff there, which fortunately they have probably as much or maybe more information than council does at times because they're working in the day-to-day. They answer a lot of those, they share those with us. That's where a lot of the feedback regarding the former YMCA came in. You know, we kind of put some feelers out there. Let us know, what do you think about the direction we're going? Are you interested in having the YMCA or the Lino Lakes Fitness, Aquatic, Recreation Center?
Right.
Got quite a bit of feedback. I guess percentage-wise small, but I think it's probably 90% positive of, yeah, this is something we miss. This is something we appreciate it when it was here. We'd really like to get something back. And our goal is not to just reopen it as it was, it'd be to make it better and have a plan to continue making it better, you know, adding facilities. And that's a lot of what these partnerships are that we're looking at. These are people who are interested in investing to make it a better facility than it was even.
Yeah, and then it would take a community effort, I would imagine.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Anything development-wise? I mean, that's a lot of what, you know, public safety, development, clean water, those are the staples, right? The
Sure.
bread and butter. Anything development-wise that you want to help see the city focus on in a particular way or anything like that? Because it continues, and you know, yeah, we got a Dunkin' Donuts now, okay, but you know, like, I mean, more houses and more of that kind of development as well, right?
Yeah. Obviously, we've got several developments going on. You know, Watermark is still in the midst of being built. You know, the 800 plus units over there. A couple of smaller developments also in the works currently. So the residential rooftops are continuing. As you mentioned, we've had a couple new businesses open up even through COVID. You know, Dunkin' Donuts and Campanelle's over there. There's another small, similar shopping center that's going in right across the street from that. I think we can do more with that. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see some more coming in over in the west side of town as well. You know, we had that whole downtown area planned years ago, and a lot of that's been developed at this point. But I'd still like to see some businesses coming in over there and kind of have a downtown area. I know it's not a simple task, and I know it'll take years for that, but what I'd like to see is somehow for us to make a way for some of our land that we have to just be shovel ready. When people are ready, we're there. It's open, and they can just start plopping things in. Now, again, they have to be businesses that are fitting to our community. We're not looking for giant mega malls. We're not looking for, you know, a bunch of just busy. We want, you know, community style businesses. So I think there's ways we can do it, and I think business is picking back up again. So I think the opportunities will be there.
I've lived in Lino Lakes for only 5 years. So are you referring to the area Lake and Maine, or are you talking about a different area?
Lake and Maine, more Lake and 35.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But kind of that whole area. There is actually another developer looking at the area right across the street from Target. You know, so that could be a start of it. You know, most of that area along Lake Drive there between 35 and, well, not up to Maine, that's all zoned for commercial development. You know, so if we can get something started, I think it will continue to grow. I certainly think we have the rooftops to support it. We certainly have the traffic going through that can support it. We've got two freeways that run through our city. There is a lot of people that go through. We just have to give them a reason to stop.
And we were just at City Hall this week to talk with Mike Ricciala about the Ling Blumston.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm saying that correct. I apologize.
Correct.
That whole thing's going to transform that part of town. Right on the corner there with Shoreview and Ramsey County, that intersection getting a lot of attention also from the counties. So that's another way of kind of another part of the city that maybe people don't consider unless they just drive through it every day.
Right. Yeah, I'll be honest. You know, I live on the north side of town. I don't get down there very often. My mother lives down that area, so I get down there when she goes, or when I go see her. But you're right, Ling Blumston is a very large development. It's changed its scale a few times, but we're hoping that development's going to get going. You know, it's been in the planning for several years. They've run into some difficulties. City's worked with them. They've worked with the city to make sure we can keep this going. But you're right, that is a whole nother section that is about to start developing, and I think it can, you know, ignite additional growth once that is up and going or in and running.
All right, a lot going on.
A lot going on, absolutely.
Keep track of. Tony Cavegn, thank you. Good to see you again.
Always a pleasure, Rusty. Thanks for having me.
Yep.